I'd like to reconvene the meeting for the St. Mary's County Board of Education for Wednesday, July 19th, 2023. I'm going to ask everyone to stand, and before we do the pledge, we're going to do a moment of silence for our families affected at Choctawcon High School this week. So. And with that, we'll begin with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move approval of the agenda as presented.
Second, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. We will begin with the superintendent and student board member reports.
All right, well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's not have it move forward. All right. Let me go load this up, and we'll see what. I don't know if it's up.
In the meantime, we will welcome Lily, who is our new student board member.
And recognize that our former student board member, Manasa, is in the audience to cheer on Lily. So
She rocks.
Well, I don't want to distract you while you're doing all that. So let's just duplicate. I don't know how we lost me. Nope. 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 It got dumped out. Mm-hmm. So how's everybody's summer going?
So Scott probably has a good report.
You know, there's a lot of.
Come work for us, I'm sure. The hiring is on there.
Yeah, pretty much. It's you know, this stuff does itself there. All right.
There we go.
So, as we hear from everybody over the summer, well, it must be nice to have summer off. You guys really aren't doing anything. What do you do all summer long? We're very busy. And I want to just highlight a couple of things that are going on over in the supporting services side of the shop, because supporting services is exceptionally busy in the summer. Design and construction, limited renovation, limited. Not almost an unlimited renovation, but we are doing really, really well. Fantastic work at Mechanicsville Elementary School. If you're driving past, you're seeing that whole front facade is pretty much in place and ready to go. They're finishing the last parts, the media center, the main office, and the gymnasium. I believe Dr. Jeffers informed us we are 6 to 9 months ahead of schedule at that job site, which is unheard of for an occupied, multi-phased renovation of a school. So fantastic work. Everybody's going to be very excited to get into that school in August. There we go. Design and construction, also HVAC replacement, Town Creek Elementary School. The rooftop units are being done, but we're also doing the cafetorium, a whole bunch of corridors, incredible amount of work. They're also doing the outside windows for Town Creek Elementary School, but we didn't want to leave out White Marsh, so we're doing all the exterior windows for White Marsh Elementary School. We were replacing windows that are 50 years old, so we're going to have some fantastic energy savings, and it really does brighten the outside exterior of those buildings. Design and construction, as we talked about multiple times throughout the year. Security vestibules. All of our buildings had vestibules, but this is then elevating them to have a security station on the other side where our dedicated, full-time, benefited employee safety and security assistants will be seated, greeting people and making sure that we are keeping kids as safe as we possibly can. Dinard Elementary School, Hollywood Elementary School, Leonardtown Elementary School, Oakville Elementary School, and with the fantastic support of the county commissioners, we will finish every single school's security vestibule enhancement by the end of this school year. Design and construction, furniture replacement. Oakville Elementary School, while it's not seeing the envelope updating, we're going through and replacing all of the furniture within the building. So not a small task. And as you can see, it gets delivered in boxes and then it has to all be put together and then deployed. You can do it. Maybe not. I am technology challenged today, I swear. So this will be great. I'm just going to stay over here. Chopticon High School. I swear you're going to have a beautiful gym floor finally. And all it took was for us to completely tear up every single thing from scratch and then redo it all. So the floor, the bleachers, everything is going to be done. It's going to be beautiful when everybody comes back into the building. You can do it. Go to the next one. There you go. Operations. Operations started. They did the 25-day cleaning kickstart where they all gathered together as a group and moved from site to site to start the heavier portion of cleaning that has to get done in the summer. Done a great job. We are also refreshing every single photocopier from Ridge all the way up to Letty Marshall Denton, everything in between, and operations is responsible for coordinating all that, working with IT to get it up and running. The big push, obviously, as Mrs. Bailey referenced, boy, we have a lot of opportunities for people. We're doing great work. There's work going on every single day. Wouldn't you like to be part of the St. Mary's County team? These are just all of the teachers that we've been hiring throughout the year. We do intakes throughout. We've had 6 different sessions of intakes that have happened through the month of the latter part of June and through July, and it'll happen all the way through August until we open schools. But we have all of these other positions available. We have accountants, building service workers, bus drivers, bus attendants, record specialists, computer support specialists, which obviously I need, food service workers, HR assistants, maintenance workers, media clerks, paraeducators, safety assistants, we still have a couple of vacancies left, school secretaries, and teacher apprentices. Teacher apprentices ultimately so that they can lead into art teachers, CTE teachers, elementary, English, instructional resource, math, media, music, PE, science, school psychologists, speech language pathologists. If you want to know what you can do to make sure that you are always going to be gainfully employed, become a speech language pathologist. You can go anywhere in the United States and pretty much determine your work hours. Social studies, social workers, Spanish teachers, and special education. There are lots and lots of opportunities for people in St. Mary's County Public Schools, and you can enter at any level. So if you are just out of school, if you have an associate's, if you are starting your associate's degree, if you have your associates, if you have your bachelor's, come take a look at St. Mary's County Public Schools and consider us as a fantastic employer and family for whom to work.
With benefits that include tuition assistance.
Reimbursement and retirement. I know that's not important for perhaps our younger people, but for other people, retirement, it's going to be a big deal. Here we find ourselves in July. We are already in the 3rd week of July. We only really have 1 day left this week after today. We are on a compressed work week for this week and the following week. We then roll into August. It is that close. Our new teacher orientation starts on the 9th. We are going to be welcoming well over 100 new teachers. New teachers have 3 days, 9th, 10th, and 11th. We'll be meeting with them and working with them. We'll be providing highlights for them for all of our work on the 16th when we get together for our next AM board meeting. All teachers report on the 16th, the 17th, and the 18th. They're getting ready. The 21st and the 22nd, they're preparing all their classrooms and doing professional development. And on the 23rd, the schools open. So for everybody on summer break, please take advantage and enjoy every moment of it, because after August 23rd, we expect you to be in school every day and ready to learn. And with that, I will then turn it over to our new student member of the board, Miss Lillian Kibler. Miss Kibler.
Sweet. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Smith. So
Thank you.
hello, everyone. As the gracious Sir Dr. Smith said, my name is Lillian Kibler, and I have the true honor of serving as the SMCPS MOB for the 2023-2024 school year. I'm so beyond excited and grateful to have this platform on behalf of all of the students in St. Mary's County, and I know it will be a pleasure, and a pleasure already has been, to work with the excellent board members seated next to me. So thank you all so much for this opportunity. I'd also like to thank our outgoing student member, Manasa, who, dedicated as always, is here today. She is such a gracious, admirable mentor and has been a world of help to me, not to mention a great friend. We're so fortunate as a county to have had her, and I know she'll be doing great things at Georgia Tech, so thank you so much, Manasa. I have really big shoes to fill. So, to start, I'd like to tell you all a little bit about myself, so we're not strangers. I'm a born and raised Navy brat who has lived in St. Mary's since 6th grade, and I am now a senior at Leonardtown in the Academy of Global International Studies. As for my focus this upcoming year, my primary goals are accountability, augmentation, and advocacy, which altogether will permit our county to nurture a collective excitement from all SMCPS personnel to be in school and to learn, while also bettering the successes of our county and amplifying the voices of our cardinal purpose, which are the students and the staff. I will prioritize tangible, meaningful improvements to our wonderful county, and I hope to be able to serve all of our students and staff with the utmost diligence and efficiency this year. Luckily for me, I've already been able to start right on these goals because this past year, at the end of the 2022-2023 school year, I had the honor of hosting our state superintendent, Dr. Chaudhry, at Leonardtown and showing him around our school and demonstrating both the successes and the needs of our county. With him, I emphasized school safety and mental health, gave him insight on the student body's thoughts on school policy and curricula, discussed obtaining appropriate resources from MSDE to foster our expanding county, and overall just had a wonderful time with him. He was so responsive and so funny. So I'd really like to thank Dr. Chaudhry and MSDE for taking the time to visit our county and hang out with us. Now, I'm looking forward to another exciting year to put in the books. We have a lot of work to do, and I'm so pleased to have been given this opportunity to do it. So thank you, everyone, for welcoming me so kindly to the board.
Awesome, thank you.
Anyone have anything to add besides welcome?
No, just I'm looking forward to it. Mrs. Suara Manasa has definitely set the bar, visiting schools and really engaging children and being able to speak with them about what's going on in their lives. And I know that Lillian plans to pursue a very similar path, so I look forward to many, many, many visits out to schools with you this year.
Oh, it's
It'll
going to be a
great.
good time.
It's going to be a very good time. Lovely.
Okay. We have 2 recognitions this morning. Mr. Watson, if you would like to come up. So the state track and field championships occur after we do our student recognition ceremony back in May. So this is, we cannot let these very fast runners go unnoticed.
Fantastic athlete.
Very true. Well, thank you for having us today. I've been fortunate to be able to do this several times over the last couple of years, and can tell you it never gets old. So we've had lots of SMAC champions, individual champions, regional champions, but today we recognize some of the elite, so it's my pleasure to be here. This spring season, student athletes and coaches from Chautauquan and Great Mills High Schools performed at the highest levels possible in state championship play. This morning we recognize students who, under the direction of their dedicated coaches, have achieved the highest level of success in public school competition. I have a quote I would like to share with the track and field student athletes. The more I train, the more I realize that it's not about the medals. It's about the journey and the person I become. This quote was from Allison Felix, U.S. Olympic champion and world champion. You should all absolutely celebrate your state championships and enjoy this moment just as much as you did when those medals first hit your shoulders in the spring. However, I encourage you to visualize and remember the journey you took to get here and how the hard work, dedication, and sacrifice helped to mold you into the person you are today and will be in the future. The 3A Maryland State Championship for track and field was held at the PG Sports and Learning Complex in Landover, Maryland. Chautauquan High School captured the boys MPSSAA 3A 4x800 meter relay state championship with a time of 7 minutes and 53 seconds. Student athletes, please approach the podium as your name is called to be recognized. The Chautauquan boys 4x800 meter relay team: Weston Carr, Bryce Dufresne, Dominic Longobardi, and Nick Watson. Assistant coaches at Chautauquan High School: Christina Weir, Jamie Ryan, Carlton Myatt, Otis Williams, co-head coach Paul Herbert, and the head coach for Chautauquan High School, Kelly Schmidt. Please approach. Thank you. Dr. Smith, if you'd like to join me for a picture.
Absolutely. Who's gonna be the official picture taker? Is that, do we have a picture taker in?
That's fair.
It's gonna have to be me.
Maybe.
All right. You're gonna have to navigate that camera again there. Oh, you're gonna use, okay.
Go with what you know.
Parents, you can come forward. You don't have to take it from a
You
distance.
don't have the Zoom capability.
Right.
You need to give the time. Again, congratulations. That's it.
And I think 3 of those 4 will be back next year.
Yes.
So only one senior in the group there, so.
Domination.
Chopticon with the 4x8, they don't graduate, they just reload, so.
Yeah, they just keep on
Expect
rolling
great
right
things
behind
out of
them.
them again, so. Additionally, this morning, we would also like to recognize Great Mills High School student Kayla Rory. Kayla captured the girls' 100-meter hurdle state championship with a time of 14.62 seconds. So again, she also was the SMAC champion this year as well, and again, went on to capture the state, so we're very proud of her accomplishments across this year. Kayla, if you could please join me at the podium. Thank you. Thank you. We would again like to take this opportunity to recognize you for winning the MPSSAA 3A Girls 100-meter hurdles state championship for track and field. Kayla's assistant coaches, if you are here, please join us, are Tony Porter, Donald Shoebrooks, and Rashad Goldring. And the head track and field coach at Great Mills High School is Bianca Lynch. Please join me in congratulating Kayla.
Proud of you, babe.
And that ends for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Watson.
So we are not offended if anyone leaves unless you want to stick around and hear about the school calendar or budgets or real estate software. Feel free to go ahead.
That is
Kim,
awesome.
do we have any public comment? Okay.
That's fantastic.
Pardon?
All right.
Hurdles is just
Unreal. Something to strive for on your evening walks.
No. I am currently really proud of myself for an 18-minute walking mile. I think that that's more than brisk enough. So, yeah, no, you're not going to see me cover. Takes me 13 seconds to get up the 2 stairs to get inside my house.
All right. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Today's consent agenda consists of the approval of minutes for June 21st, 2023, personnel teachers, personnel administrative and supervisory, professional services contract, Department of Special Education, and request for A&E services contingency increase for the limited renovation at Letty Marshall Dent Elementary School. With that, I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. We have, as I mentioned, 2 action items. The first one is Dr. Farrell with the 2023-2024 school calendar.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I am pinch hitting today for Dr. Marr while he's on vacation. And we're going to be talking about updates for the calendar for next school year. So as you recall, MSDE has approved for school systems have up to 8 days of virtual learning during their school year for next year. There are some things that each school system has to make sure that they have in place in order to be able to offer those. During last school year, we piloted 2 virtual learning days on April 21st and on May 12th. And then after those, we got feedback from stakeholders, and we also convened the calendar committee. And on June 21st, you guys had a recommendation to consider 4 virtual learning days, converting 4 early dismissal days into virtual learning days. And they were October 9th, December 8th, February 9th, and April 19th. The charter school also had days that they had indicated that they could convert to virtual learning days. And then we would also use April 1st as a possible makeup day if needed virtually. Again, once we consider that, we also have to send this to MSDE for their consideration and approval. But after that presentation, we got more feedback from stakeholders, and so we're coming back with an option 2 for the board to consider. And this would be converting only 2 days next school year to virtual learning days, 1 each semester. The first would be on Monday, October 9th, an asynchronous day. This is also currently scheduled as an early release day and parent conference day. And the second would be on Friday, March 22nd, currently scheduled as an early dismissal day, but this is also the day before our spring break begins. The charter school also has identified 2 dates, January 12th and May 23rd, that they would like to consider for virtual learning days for next year. And then we get another hang up a little bit. Is the primary election day for 2024 is scheduled for May 14th. And as you know, Maryland law says that primary and general election days must be school holidays for students. So looking at that, we would make May 14th a holiday for students. We would move the last day from June 12th to June 13th, and then the 12th and 13th would both be early dismissal days for our students. The charter school's last day would be June 10th. May 14th would still be a duty day for staff, and if school buildings are used for elections, then we would consider telework days for the staff that are assigned to those school buildings. So, I am making a recommendation that the board approve this item for the amendment for the 23-24 school year, following either option 1, which is the 4 days, or option 2, which is the 2 days of virtual learning, and modifying the calendar to adjust for the primary election day in May 2024.
So, all right, let's do the charter school first.
Okay.
Okay, so they want December 12th, correct?
I thought it was January
Or
12th.
January 12th, sorry. So that is a Friday to our early dismissal. So they want that to be a virtual day.
Correct.
And then May 23rd, which is a Thursday, because Friday everyone has off.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And that's taking away the 27th, 12th. Okay. All right. So, and I'm assuming that we went from the 4 virtual instruction days down to the 2 based on the concerns that some of our elementary school families had about the virtual instruction and the difficulty that some of the students were having
Correct. It
learning
seemed like
remotely for 4 days. And okay.
right. The secondary students and parents, they didn't seem to really have a problem with the 4 virtual instruction days. Most of the concerns came from the elementary levels, students and parents. So.
Okay. All right, and then for the for everyone else, then we're looking at the federal holiday on the 11th, which has always traditionally been a
I think it's October 9th.
or October 11th.
October 9th.
October 9th.
Okay, but that's always been our October date has always been our parent-teacher conferences for at our elementary level,
Correct.
and then having the virtual day the day before spring break just kind of makes sense.
Well, that's a day that
So.
historically we have had
High end,
challenges
right.
with student attendance as well as filling staff vacancies and absences. And it also lines up well. So the thought is that the Monday, October 9th, especially at the elementary level, that gives the entire day for them to schedule parent conferences to be done virtually or in person or whatever might need to be done for that day. So that gives them the entire day.
Well, and it used to be that way.
And it used to be that way.
That way, then we cut it to the 2 hours, and
Right.
because it didn't make sense to have everyone off, because our secondary students typically don't have.
We're not
utilizing the
utilizing
parent-teacher
as much
conferences.
conferences as the elementary. So that really does, that kind of gets to the heart of having a meaningful virtual day for elementary students and parents, because they could be directly engaged in conversations about how their kids are doing in school. The Friday, the March 22nd, it's the end of the marking period. That's a perfect day to have office hours and catch up and to go through all of them, be able to review missing work and things such as that. So it works very well for both of those days. It still gives us the opportunity to continue to have some variety in scheduling options. I also like the fact that it does really compel everybody to be using the technology across the system. It really is important that we do recognize and take advantage of virtual learning and the presence that can be done through Zooms and Google Meets and things such as that. So this really is it's a compromise. We started with 8, we went down to 4, and now we're really looking at 2 based on the parent input from the surveys from the last board meeting.
Okay, and then I have one more question. So for the May 14th, I understand the whole primary thing. So then we have the students off on the 14th, but then we also have a no school for students and professional responsibilities on the 24th, right? Or is that just for the charter school, or is that for
Just
everyone?
that's the charter school. That's not
Okay.
us.
There's so many calendars on here right now. I got the charter school calendar, so
Yeah.
the 24th is not for everyone else, that's just for the charter school?
Yep.
Okay. All right, now I'm clear. Kathy, do you have any questions among all of that?
No, but I'm going to warn Mrs. Short that this is not going to be the motion that is up here, as I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased that the calendar committee met and considered all the feedback that had come from parents with respect to the 2 virtual days that we had piloted this past year. I would still like to see us, as we move forward, I believe the thought is that we'll see how this goes for this coming year, and then as we approve the next 2-year calendar,
26.
that at that point, we'll take whatever information we've gleaned from this coming year and carry that forward in the most responsible way and responsive way. I think it's important for people to understand that this board has always been very committed to making sure that parents have a voice and an opportunity to provide input. We've done that by having parents as well as students serve on the calendar committee, and we've put out surveys and multiple times in the hopes that parents will provide us with that feedback, as will students and staff. So we take all of that information to heart. At the same time, we're trying to balance these challenges with some of the challenges we face in terms of student attendance on these days, whether they're virtual or in person, especially the day before spring break, and the same for staff. We certainly understand that families have challenges, they have decisions they need to make in terms of travel and so forth, but at the same time, we also believe very strongly that your best learning occurs when you are present. So I don't have any further questions. I will say that I am in support of option 2, not option 1. I think just 2 virtual days, 1 per semester, for the coming year is our best move. It will allow us, since this year those virtual days happened primarily completely in the spring. I want to see what happens when we have one in the fall and one in the spring, and then we will make decisions going forward from there based on the recommendations of our calendar committee. So that's
And also, I think parents knowing the dates well ahead of
Far
time
Exactly.
will kind of help a little bit better for them. And only giving two, there's less pressure of having to try to find
childcare as needed.
childcare and
Absolutely. So,
maybe not work to be with your kids, which is always a good thing.
Just about everything has been said. I want to thank the calendar committee for meeting, taking into considerations the results of the survey, which was sent out, which we received a good response from. And the calendar, hundreds. The committee consisted of a variety of stakeholders, parents, students, teachers, administrators, and a survey was sent out, and based on that, recommendations are being made to the board here and now, and we will vote on which way based on their recommendations. Thank you.
So I have an idea for our new student board member. So and I'm going to go back to the May 14th date, which is now primary day, right? Because Maryland used to be in April, and now it's moved. So as you all know, May is AP testing month, right?
Yes.
So very clearly, our esteemed legislature did not consider the school calendar where the majority of the voting precincts are located in schools when they move the date. So I think that would be a fabulous thing for all of the SMOBs across the state to perhaps bring to light. Not that we need to change the primary date, but somehow to adjust it that our AP students in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade are possibly not quite so much affected.
Yes, so I was actually going to bring that up because overall, like virtual days and the election days do totally interfere with AP scheduling throughout the year because the AP teachers run on the College Board schedule, not just the state or county schedule. So it's definitely something to take into account, like particularly if this high school building will be used for our polls. That is also where our testing rooms are going to be. So it's something that we'll have to discuss amongst all Maryland SMOBs that it needs to be addressed.
Right. So start advocating.
Yes.
Will do.
Like now, not in January.
Gotta hurry. Put that up on the to-do list.
Yes, so, I mean, yes, agree, Kathy, Marion? That
absolutely.
plan? I mean, so, all right, go forth. So, Dorothy, do you have anything else?
Nothing else,
All right.
thanks.
Jim?
No, thank you.
I just have little tidbits. As I was going to say, it is helpful that we're addressing this for AP teachers and everyone else across all ages. I think option 2 is a really great happy medium for everyone because it balances out our asynchronous and synchronous days and addresses elementary concerns and the well planned ahead addressing of when they are going to be. It makes it more digestible for everyone so they can properly accommodate their own schedules. I do have a little tidbit. I feel obligated to bring it up because it was brought up to me prior, that we should clearly delineate on the calendar, if possible, when a virtual day is versus when it is a half day, to avoid some confusion and we don't have kids showing up to the bus stop at 6:30 when they're not going to school. So, yeah, but it's really great happy medium, so thank you.
Okay, so, I would like a motion for whoever would like to make the motion for whichever option they would choose. And then depending on the outcome of that one, we will either have a second motion or we will not. Does that make sense? Okay.
and I'm prepared.
Okay.
So just so that everyone understands, before I make the motion, that I'm going to propose option 2, which means that the Chesapeake Charter School would be virtual on January 12th and May 23rd, and that the remainder of our schools would be virtual October 9th and March 22nd. So I move that the Board of Education approve the amendment of the 2023-2024 school year calendar as presented, following option 2 for virtual instruction days and the modification of the calendar to adjust for the primary election day. Does that make sense?
Yes,
And
it
also
does.
the last day of school,
Well, that
because
would
we're
be-
altering the last day of school as well.
Oh, sorry. That's not on there.
No.
Just add it on
And
Kim,
that-
Kim can fix it.
We'll fix it in post. No.
And that last day of school for students is June 12th.
June 13th.
June 13th, sorry.
Yes.
That's not on here.
Yeah, sorry.
It's buried.
It says professional day, professional responsibilities for students.
Yeah, no, that's just a screen capture. We'll have to correct it in the document.
All right, so that the last day of school for students will be June 13th.
Correct. Okay. So with all of that, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. And all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any nays? So the motion is carried. So Dr. Farrell, you're off the hook.
Sorry, guys, that was a,
Fantastic job.
I think I was toggling back and forth between the calendar and not
Right.
necessarily
What's as the screen capture?
the
yeah, we didn't-
the presentation. So that's how I figured the 13th of June.
right,
So
yeah, I see it. Sorry, that was not the
Nope, that's
cleanest
okay.
ever, but
It was-
it's done.
as long as everyone's clear, you know what we have. All right, Ms. Howe.
We muddled through without Dr. Marr, which is a challenge.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we have an amazing team up here this morning. I'm joined by Dr. Beavers, Tracy Lumpkins from Capital Planning, and Courtney Lacey, who supports many departments, but maintenance operations and capital planning in particular. So we've been a long time kind of talking about this at the budget cycle. So we're very pleased to come forward with a recommendation today. We've been using Brightly software, which was formerly School Dude, for the past 16 years. In my office, we've been using Energy Manager since 2007, and FS Direct, which is our scheduling software, since 2011. Given all the changes we have and the significant increase in workload for state assessments, maintenance inspections, and the need to capture historical data in a way that we haven't been able to in the past, so that we can provide it to the state, we can review the data that they assess on us, and then do analytics to make it applicable to our work in terms of developing budgets and sharing that information with our stakeholders. We started to look at what our options were. We knew from our use of former software from School Dude that they had some opportunities to explore their options as well. So in October of 2022, we began those discussions on their software solutions to meet our needs for asset management, equipment condition assessments, work order management, reporting, and then short and long-term planning of projects. Based on the conversations they had, they developed a proposal to implement a collaborative data management and analysis tool utilizing two products, Asset Essential and Capital Predictor software. This would also include an assessment of all of our equipment, same assessment that the state is doing, as well as tagging the equipment, key equipment along the way with an identifier. It's a metal tag, so that we could utilize that information as we go forward, and we'll talk about that. This would give us the same level playing field of data that the state has on us. We can then compare back and forth. So we started to look at what those options were, and we did find out that we do know that piggybacking contracts is permitted by Maryland state law, and our policy does encourage the use of those contracts established by other agencies. So Brightly has a contract through the government cooperative contract with Sourcewell, contract number 090320, for the procurement of public sector and education administrative software solutions with related services. The contract expires on November 2nd, 2024, so it is still valid and has options for up to one additional one-year period, extending that out to 2025. The important piece of the Sourcewell contract for us, it provides participating agents with a 21% discount from the list price of their software. 6% discount from the list price on Quick Start, 3% discount from list price for vendor services, which would be the company that comes in and does our assessments and tagging for us, and then a 5% discount from list price on DSI services. So when we start looking at the software, you'll notice as we go forward that the pricing discount continues for several years beyond initial acquisition. I'm going to take a little time and show you two videos that were something that they gave to us early on that we previewed that kind of led us down this direction. So the first will be on Asset Essentials.
Meet Asset Essentials, a cloud-based work and asset management platform designed to empower operations managers to do their job like never before. By using our platform, you'll be able to reduce maintenance costs, improve productivity, extend the life cycle of your assets, and make data-driven decisions all from one centralized place. Asset Essentials is a highly configurable solution that equips your entire team, including maintenance directors, facility managers, plant managers, public works directors, and building operators. And trust us, there are plenty of features to help solve your operational challenges. First off, you get a work order and workflow management tool, which will help you create and manage reactive, corrective, preventive, and predictive work orders in a single centralized system. Get access to a mobile app that allows you to complete tasks on the go. And you can keep up to date on equipment and asset history, helping you track your total cost of ownership. And did we mention you'll have access to over 100 predefined report and dashboard options? Our platform also helps you manage your inventory of frequently used parts. Plus, you can track infrastructure assets and related work using our map view. All of these features make our platform a must-have for any operations manager to professional. Asset Essentials.
So that is Asset. And then Capital Predictor. Once that information's in Asset Essentials, it then links into Capital Predictor.
Your assets are aging. You have a limited budget. Your data is fragmented, and you don't have a single source of truth for your data. But you need to be able to forecast and plan with confidence. Meet Predictor Enterprise, an all-in-one, cloud-based, full asset lifecycle prediction modeling and capital planning solution. With Predictor Enterprise, you'll be able to accurately predict how your decisions today will impact the future. Justify funding requirements and communicate these needs to your stakeholders. Create and optimize capital investment plans that allow you to evaluate, optimize, and analyze your current funding situation. Get a glimpse into the results your plan will generate and what changes are possible, making it easy for you to accurately simulate future capital expenses. Compare funding strategies up to 100 years and beyond, showing specific trade-offs. Answer questions like, what if we change our approach? What if the budget goes up or down? Or generate risk scenarios so you can manage risk with confidence and understand the benefits between reactive and preventive maintenance. Tie it all together by creating detailed reports and visuals to capture the full picture, allowing you to present information to stakeholders with confidence. With all these intuitive features packaged together in one platform, Predictor Enterprise truly is your go-to solution to help tell better data stories and prove your case. Empower decision makers to compare and select sustainable investment strategies that are best for your community. Make better decisions today with Predictor Enterprise.
So I'm going to go through a little bit of the features.
Can I say a
When
quick-
we initially looked at these, did you
A quick question, so with those videos, does it give you a scrap or buy scenario? Okay.
So you heard the word total, there's a couple key things in there. You heard the term total cost of ownership.
Right, that's what I was.
That's something that we in my office have to do an analysis. We can do that, but it gets very costly and it starts bringing the architect team and doing that. This won't replace that, but what that will start giving us opportunities to run scenarios to then work with design and construction and the architect teams.
Cut down on their time.
Yes.
Okay.
So
All right.
here's some models that we ran that we think look
Okay.
appropriate.
All right, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I mean, while that just came off of there, I thought that might give the rest of what the features are better context.
Exactly. So, when we initially did it and we watched these, initially, I started keying in on all the same things that we were hearing from the state, the things that we have to report out, that we're trying to figure out methods to do this. And the one thing that came out of it, and I think the most important part of this all, is data exists with Dr. Beavers and with me and with our teams, but it's individualized. This takes all of that knowledge and puts it into one place that can then run all kinds of analytics for us, but it remains there.
Okay.
If someone departs, so whether they decide to go to another place of work or another state, or they retire, that information remains. And you build this long legacy of data, and you can look at your trends from the past and the future and really everyone has access to the same information all of the time. So in terms of assets essentials, there's a lot of information here. I'm going to kind of hit the highlights, and JR, you pop in if you want to interject it at all. Yeah, I'm sorry. There we go. Forgot to hit the button. I think one of the most important things is it all starts with this very first bullet, which is manage and maintain all assets and facilities. With this opportunity, what we'll have, they will, Alpha Solutions or Alpha Services is the group that will come out and do all of the assessments. Their assessment is going to be almost identical to the one that the state is doing. At that point, they load all of that information into Asset Essentials. We have the ability to tag individual components. Having that access to that information in one place all at one time will be based on information we have, information they collect. It will be the first time that I know of in my career we have that data all in one place. And it'll be visible throughout the whole entire organization depending on how we give out the information. It will streamline work orders and tasks. You'll be able to assign multiple work orders at one time and to be able to eliminate the backlog. And Jared, if you want to talk about your system, I know you have some problems with the existing work order system.
We're currently using Impulse, and it has its downfalls. It's not as comprehensive as this. One of the things that I'm excited about this is with all of our assets barcoded. If you can imagine, maintenance staff personnel going out to work on, I don't know, you name it, a compressor. They can take their iPad, take a snapshot of the barcode, the manuals, the past work order, any information that you can think of, warranties on that asset are all at their disposal right there. So that in itself is incredibly powerful and will help our staff members a ton. Now, with any platform, right, when we replace that compressor, we do have to have a protocol where that new compressor is then re-barcoded. And software is only as good as the people who are utilizing it, right? So we have to have a protocol, and we will put one in place to make sure that those types of things are taken care of, so that information continues. So if I replaced a compressor, I need to, when I scan the new compressor, I need to see what was the date that was replaced, because that's the time that the new warranty starts, and all the new work order, the workflow should start as well. So that's going to be a huge asset to us.
And on large projects such as Liddy Marshall Dent, they'll be assessing that now, they'll be tagging it now, because things will remain in place for an extended period of time while we're working on construction. What we've discussed is, in the budget, I will build Alpha Solutions to be able to come back in at the end of that project. We give them the drawings, they would load the drawings, they would go in and they would retag everything, they would take out the things that were gone and they would put back the things that were new for us as a big comprehensive project. Little projects we can have a protocol internally. Big projects we'll go back and look at how we do that, and that's one potential solution we have for that.
Does it have the ability to, pull together related work orders? Like, let's say you have a work order for something over here, but there's something else in another part of the building that it's also put in, but it affects it.
Yes.
And maybe you might not pick it up just by eyeballing it, but will this allow those two to mesh?
Yes, you can actually, the way it was explained to us in several of our virtual meetings with Brightly, you can actually pull up a location, and then you can, it's a tree really, and you can just keep opening branches of the tree. So I think what you're getting at is for efficiency for staff members,
Correct,
right?
yes.
If I'm on site and I'm an engineering trade and
Right.
I want to pull up every work order that's at this site so that perhaps I can spend the day there and knock out yes, you would have the ability to do that.
Okay, right, yeah, not leave and then come back Wednesday
Correct.
or whatever.
Correct. Now we have to do that manually now. So
That's what
so
I'm
in the
assuming.
morning, our foremen and team leaders, they will look at the schedule and see what's out there, and they manually assign work orders to techs who will be in that location who have that skilled trade.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
They'll also be able to, if they're working on a particular room and they're working on a roof leak, they'll be able to go back and look at other work orders. They'll be able to go back and look at that historical information. We've had some discussions back and forth with Brightly, and I think we're of the mindset, we want to tag every individual room and the door frame. Because that way that work order is linked to that individual tag we know. So that if it's room 32 this year and next year it's room 29, it's still tag number. And we can link it back to prior work orders.
Okay.
So, we're going to be able to plan and schedule preventive maintenance to extend the life of physical assets. We're going to have a lot of schedules that JR already has. One of the other things that they do is based on the equipment that we have, one of the ending reports that we'll get will be additional preventive maintenance that are based on what the carrier or the manufacturer thinks we should have. So that gives JR additional work to do. And then definitely optimizing resourcing and communication. Inventory. This is something that's going to hopefully be a very big asset to JR and his group. They're going to be able to manage parts, maintain stock inventory, create and manage those parts orders, and then leverage maintenance data to keep parts available. One of the things that's interesting about the mobile app is because the guys are out on the roof and they're working other places where they may not have really great connection, the system will, on the app, on the phone, continue to work offline. When they come back online, it will upload everything for them, but they'll still have access to the things that were available. We talked a lot about preventive maintenance and analytics. There's over 100 predefined reports and dashboard tracks for key performance indicators. There is an ability to make custom reports if we want to. We can manage the work, the resources, inventory, budgets, and equipment, can assist with budget development, and then optimize the maintenance schedules as we move forward. In terms of the work order management administration piece, you can see your personal work orders as well as your teams. You can build custom views to manage your team's key work order fields. You can look at the list of historic work orders and associated reporting to see how things are tracking. There's a lot we have to determine as we get into implementation, but there are ways to start the work and end the work so that JR then has time that's associated with the amount of time that the techs are spending. And then the mobile work order software, which captures parts transactions, reference the materials, what we put in it will be available. Before someone goes out in the field, they can look and see if something's under warranty and they can read the warranty. They can access the owner manuals, all the things that we have as built drawings that we can get loaded up into the system. They can work in offline mode, and it does barcode scan assets as they go forward. It'll provide the necessary insights to help us predict long-term asset life cycle to better plan future budgets. I think one of the things JR and I've been talking a lot about is the amount of work we need to do that needs to be reflected in the comprehensive maintenance plan, ultimately in the capital budget, if it's eligible, or to increase the operating budget. This is going to give us so much more information than we have to analyze and make better planning for the future. I'm really looking forward to it in the terms of those components that maybe we haven't been funded for in the past because we haven't been able to get to that line item. We can then take everything we need to know about a school, whether it's from their assessment or it's work orders that are there. When we're ready to start talking about a capital project, the whole team can get together, we can review all of the data and pick up things that will be state eligible and bring that extra funding sources in to get things done. Again, this one on Capital Predictor, you're going to see that we can develop lots of models, and we can run them based on increased sources of funding or a reduction in funding or cost and escalation. We can apply life cycle degradation pass, which is really important for us. We're going to have an FCI index that was created for us. We can compare that to the state, and when we're really sitting down to have a discussion with them, I'll have the information to sit at the table and say, this is really what we need to do and why. We found out with Chopticon, when we can do that and we can use their data and our data, it makes it a very difficult decision to not fund something. Most importantly, we can really forecast the health of the entire project portfolio. I know Mr. Whidden used to sit here before you and give you the bathtub chart. This is going to go so far beyond that. We're really going to be able to look and tell you this is the life of our roofs and our HVACs, but not just that, down even to the smaller components that keep those systems running.
Can I ask one more? Is all of that region specific? Like when they load those parameters in, because like for instance, I would say a roof is has much more weather impact, farther north or
out in Garrett County
right,
with all
than
the
what
snow.
it is here. So does that take that into account? Like
we could definitely have discussions with Alpha about that when we get into it. Yes.
Okay.
One of the things I've had, Dr. Smith and I had the opportunity to be with the Tri-County with Alex Donahue, and one of the things he heard completely from all three of us is we need to look at regional cost escalators because the Southern Maryland just doesn't have it. So these are the dialogues we want to have with Alpha and Brightly as we implement.
Okay.
How about inspections, like in the roof, you have a predicted life cycle of 25 years. At 20 years, you're finding out it's not going to make it another 5 years. Is that data put into this algorithm?
So yes, so one of the things that will happen is on JR's side, all of his, you want to talk about
Yeah,
your
we have annual
schedules?
roof inspections anyway, so that data, that comes in the form of a work order. So that's all linked to that asset, which is
Okay,
linked to that
gotcha.
barcode. So that information can be made. So it's not going to be, we're not going to just pull up a chart and say, okay, what roofs are due in the next 5 years. We're not going to replace a roof that's 25 years old that shows no signs of being at the end of its useful life. So then we'll look at those notes from those roof inspections and then maybe carry that a couple more years.
Gotcha.
So what we're hoping is there's some custom fields that we can also do. So what we're hoping in capital planning is that we're going to have the RUL and the FCI, the remaining useful life, and the facility condition index from the assessment we're doing. But there's also a custom field that we can go back and enter the state's same data for that as well. And then we start working in the preventive maintenance and the work orders that are done, and we are really going to have information that can streamline the process of identifying how long things are going to last.
Will that software go into this new software since you already have all the information? A lot of the information about the equipment?
We're discussing that with the company, whether to purge or import. Import isn't going to be a simple process just because of the two different systems. I'm kind of leaning towards it might be a good opportunity to purge and then re-enter important work orders that have to be done, that are critical. But that's a discussion we're having. I doubt the import's going to work.
So Courtney has really worked with our Impulse system. So what we'll do is at some point this summer, if we go forward with this, we will pull all of our historical data from Impulse. So we'll still have the data. It'll be in an Excel format. So we will have that data. We'll have work orders that are going to be in flux and you're going to be continuing to work on them, and we'll again pull those that are completed, and we'll only bring over the carryovers of the ones that we need to, and we'll start fresh. The one other reason you necessarily wouldn't want to import the old data is it doesn't have the same asset link. So it would be very difficult to go back and find it and associate it with it versus starting something new.
And just to add to that, with them coming out and doing a facility condition index on all of our buildings, when they find an issue with an HVAC unit or a roof or something like that, that information is going to be added into that new system as well. So there will already be work orders that they're creating based on their findings. So so they're going to find everything that we've found and more. So those open work orders that we have and Impulse currently won't necessarily need to be in the new system.
Yep, going too far. I did it again. Okay, so for us, I think as a team, what we don't want to do, and what happens occasionally is we wind up in that high risk. The likelihood of it failing and the criticality of the consequences, high risk is where schools can't operate for whatever reason, and we want to avoid that at all costs. We want to be down in the low risk to medium risk. The software, with all of the data entered into it and the assessments that we're doing, should eliminate that ever happening. And that, for us, is a reassurance that we're on the right track. It should be telling us if there's something we don't see or we're not aware of that could be happening based on all the analytics. So this is really what we operate off of. We want to stay out of high risk. So I talked to Brightly and I said I want to know who's using it in the state of Maryland.
Everybody.
All but
So
two.
we would be the 21st out of 24 counties using Asset Essentials. So I called almost every single one of them. There was 2 counties I did not get to talk to because people were on vacation, but I talked to everybody. And the bullets you see up there were said time in and time out. They just came up to it. It's one of the best products in terms of software of K-12 education. 4 or 5 different counties told me that, and they were talking across all of what we do as a school system, that it was the best. That Brightly had a sustained relationship 1 year later from their full implementation, that they were still assisting them and still there for them. Wonderful support throughout the transition. Bulk update of data is a great tool. Everybody was like, oh, you have to know this. We can export our data into Excel, add a field, upload all that information, and just put it right back in, and it's seamless. They said it is such an incredible piece. So if I get new state assessments, Tracy and I could do a bulk download, update all the RULs, all the SFA, and then dump it right back into the system, and it's there. And it would take minutes to do. Brightly team is very responsive. Siemens purchased Brightly, and they're investing a lot of research and then development. They're actually building their own language. They're aware, they're a control company, but they're not the only control company. They're currently developing a language that you can use any control system that would give you the ability to integrate all of the assets to a new smart assets platform. So you would be able to look at all of your controls across the system, no matter whether they were Johnson Controls, Siemens, or whatever they're doing. And Baltimore City is actually doing the pilot for them. This is ready to come out. They're actually running it, and they said it's amazing to have their controls all in one place. And the ability to capture and pull data for analysis that is super easy and a game changer. So we are just joining the many counties that are already utilizing this. For us, what that means is we have 20 other counties we can call if we run into an issue because they've been working with it. I did really take a really good look at Brightly because this is a huge investment for us, both financially but as a solution. These are just a sampling of the awards they've won, and what I keyed in on was customer satisfaction, user ratings for their capabilities. They are a well-known entity in this industry, and they're the leaders, and they're taking it the next level with Siemens. So the proposal, we are requesting approval to award Brightly Software a contract in the amount of $443,573.90. And the way that breaks out is the cloud services, because these softwares are residing in the cloud for both Asset Essentials and Capital Predictor Enterprise, for this year would be $46,623.34. This is, they did take 2 months off of the services for this year, so they did reduce this amount for us. In addition, we'd be purchasing $400,950.56 in professional services, which would be the implementation of the software and all of the training that goes with that, PM schedule creation, equipment barcode tagging of our assets, the facility condition assessment, and enterprise project management. So we would have, for the entire time of the project, we would have a dedicated project manager from Brightly that would work with us on our implementation. That would be our go-to single point of contact. In addition, when we were working on the proposal, we came up with a list of additional things that we wanted to discuss having tags, such as the interior and exterior doors, some of the smaller equipment, not just the main unit, but some of the smaller equipment. So we're asking for a contingency of $53,864.82, for those optional professional services, so that as we're going through implementation and getting into the nitty-gritty of discussions, we can opt to take some of those options if we so choose. We do have a fixed price subscription increase that we negotiated with them that would be additional for this. So for years 2 and 3, we would only have a 3% annual increase of Asset Essentials and Capital Predictor. And I did give you what our increases have been on the softwares that we have, and they have been in excess of 5%. This past year, past 2 was 9 and 10%. So significant savings, and we can then look at negotiating a new agreement for that as we move forward as well. The one thing that's really important on that is in that agreement, it does say that it is subject to our funding. So in the event that we were able to not get funding 1 year, we are not obligated to anything beyond the 1-year contract. So that is our presentation. I do have to say that I know Brightly is watching the live stream right now. They have been incredible to work with. I think they've made me feel very comfortable. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
They've really been responsive, and they've really met all of the needs we've had so far. So I do thank them for what they've done to get us to this point.
So with all of this streamlining, and I'm not going to imply that you guys were not working efficiently before, okay, so please don't take it that way, but how much more efficiently will you be able to work now with all of this centralized here, and how much more is it going to free up your time? Not that, you know what I mean, like, you know, if you don't have to sit there and manually key in things and now you can upload, like,
so it's,
what are you expecting?
So for us, we all have individual data. The ability to integrate that and to work collaboratively is hindered. Some things that they're going to do, we don't know about yet. They're going to get into a level of inspection. I mean, we've been trying in our office to glean that off of the facility condition index that the state had, but they have the data, we don't. This gives us that data. It is going to make us much more efficient in the long run. There's going to be time. This is a big project. It's going to take a lot of work to get it implemented. But as we look moving forward, the ability for myself to collaborate on a project to get all of that information in is going to make for better projects coming forward. Do you want to speak to
Yeah,
yours?
I think for us, you know, the biggest thing is staying out of that high risk area, right? When you're having to replace it because it's broke now, that's a problem, because now you're pretty much talking strictly operating funds that you have tagged to do something else. So if we can be more predictive in nature, this setup with this third party, I mean, what would be better than having somebody come through your home that has no interest in getting the job to repair all of the things that come up in your home inspection, right, to give you an honest, good faith, here are all of your systems, and here's probably what you need to do. Here's when you need to replace them. And then to take that information, add your internal inspections, the state assessment results and all that, to really stay on top of your assets and replace them when they've met or exceeded their life expectancy, and replace them before they go down. That's a best case scenario for us. So you don't want, right now we have a spreadsheet, right, and it has a life cycle, and it says, okay, we replaced this component in this year, so in 15 years we should do that again. Well, not really. we should do that. It should be on our radar, but there are a lot of other elements that should go into that. So this is really going to help us establish that baseline and then help us be more efficient with what we do have.
About, I think it's 18 years ago, back when Linda Dutterer was the chief academic officer, St. Mary's County Public School System moved to and really formalized the relationship with a data warehouse company on Performance Matters. And it is where we gathered together all of our assessment information from all these disparate assessment fields, tagged each one of the questions back to a learning standard, and kind of catapulted how we talk about teaching children. And did it save time? Yes and no. What it really did was it made sure that the instructional decision making was deeply rooted and predicated on performance data of children, right? This is
performance matters for supporting services. It's the same transformation, evolution of gathering data and then being able to sit down and really assess this is next and this is this, and just as performance matters moved us away from, oh man, the kid, you failed, let's go back and try to fix a learning gap. Instead, it became much more predictive. Formative assessment in real time, we see where the learning gap is and we address it through, response and recovery and intervention. This is really the same model, and I just love where supporting services has leaned into this kind of really forward-thinking projection, embracing your technology, putting iPads in people's hands that probably are like, all right, It really is great because we don't have an unlimited supply of labor. We just don't. And what we found is we don't have an unlimited supply of supplies. So, boy, we have to be surgical with this. And this is just a fantastic tool. I love it.
And that's the other piece too, staffing, right? Yeah. Being able to put a number on how much time does it take to complete a work order? How many staff members do you have? Is the backlog growing? Is the backlog shrinking? When you ask for an FTE, you probably should supply some kind of justification for your ask, right? Well, this supplies that.
And in the report we get from Alpha, when they complete the facility condition assessment, one of the things that will be in that report is to look at the current condition of all of our buildings. And the industry standards for how many people it should take to staff that, they will give that information to us so that JR can analyze it and then look at his staff. But it will be based on the actual condition. How many people do we need to be able to manage that? To answer your second question, initially for a while, it's going to be more work because we have to get it all loaded. We have to figure out how to use it. In the long term, it's going to make us more efficient. I don't think it's going to lessen the workload, but it's going to make us more efficient.
That's what I'm saying. Like, instead of you spending 4 hours on something, can you now, analyze and evaluate in less time because you don't have to go searching for information in 14 different places. It's now somewhat centralized.
So definitely more efficient. Courtney has been the person every time we have a project. She's been my work order specialist, and so I would go to her to get information, and then I'd go to JR to ask for information about work orders, like how are you getting them done? What's in your budget? I'd go to Paola and say, from design and construction, what are you guys working on? We'll have all of that information. Anybody will be able to access it, and it definitely will improve efficiency. Okay. I think the other big thing is for both JR and I to look at our funding agents and give them a picture. The reports we are going to be able to generate, the data analysis, because you can make data do what you want, but at the end of the day, it's going to show the condition. And it will be an independent assessment of that condition. And I'm hoping that they're going to parallel the state. If not, then Tracy and I will be working with the state to try and balance that out. They're out assessing for the next 2 weeks. That's where Mary is at. Mary Hayden in my office is at one of the schools today. Very difficult for us to challenge that data. We just don't have that level of depth right now to challenge it. But next time, next year, we will. Okay. And we'll be able to do it because there's a huge importance on the capital side of this. If you rate on the maintenance inspections good or better, it's 5% boost. Which is huge. And on a project of anything in the $30 million range, $75 million range, it's a huge amount. So there's a lot of money on the table, and we want to make sure that data is as accurate as possible. The other piece of it is if you don't get it on the maintenance effectiveness score, you can get it on a remaining useful life of over 120%. I can't tell you that right now, but after this I can. So it really becomes a huge avenue for us to get more money.
We want our 10%.
We do.
We want a 10% bump on every single capital project supported by the state.
Exactly.
Okay. Kathy, do you have anything?
When the state decided to switch to a facilities condition index, we all sort of shuddered because, as you alluded to, the state doesn't necessarily understand the challenges that we face here in Southern Maryland versus the Eastern Shore versus Western Maryland versus, sort of the larger metro area, and simply saying to them, it doesn't work that way here, kind of goes right over their heads, with all due respect. You have to live it to understand it, I think. And so I'm really pleased that you've brought something forward that is going to allow us to have really the deep information that will help us to be able to plan and to move forward and to make a data-driven case to the state that is in essence irrefutable. And that is extremely important for ensuring that we actually get the funding that we need. Maryland is unique, as many people understand, in that they pay for significant portions of school buildings, of school construction. Most states do not do that. And so I can understand them wanting to, to really have a full understanding of what a building has, what it needs, and moving forward, and the condition of it. But this, I think, really will put us in a much better position. Two things in general. If we move forward with this today, when would Brightly start? When would Alpha Solutions come down and start all of this? What's the timeline for it? When do you anticipate completion?
So in anticipation that it would be approved today, we have a meeting with Brightly on Tuesday.
Okay.
To meet
they're
our
watching
project
right now.
coordinator to get things rolling and to schedule the kickoff. The first step in the process that would happen is we'd have that kickoff meeting. We would get our working list of to-do items that we have, and we would be scheduling Alpha to come. They are fully aware of our time frame, and the whole goal is to get them in as soon as the contracts are signed. And they need a good solid 2.5, maybe 3 weeks. So we're trying to, if everything goes right, we're trying to get that done before school starts.
So you're telling us that for them to come and assess all of our buildings, figure out what needs to be tagged, do all of that, 3 weeks?
They are bringing a team.
Hotels will be full.
They are bringing a team to come and get this done.
Well, a team can be 5 or a team could be 500. I mean, we have not as many buildings as a Montgomery County,
Yes.
but wow, that's impressive.
They have asked us for access to the buildings, and as much as we possibly can, they want to be 7 days a week, early in the morning to late at night, and they just want to assess and they want to get all of the data so they can go back and then do their work. And they're fully aware that we have school starting, and they want to get in and be the least amount of disruption to the schools as possible.
That is
Good answer.
incredible.
Is that a good answer?
Yeah, I was figuring maybe 6 months, a year.
No, so immediately upon, and we would find this out next week, immediately upon, they have an online training portal. So immediately we would get a sandbox version of those 2 softwares that we could start messing around with that we can't mess up. And then we would get access to all of their training as well. So we can start having that while we have some summertime as well. Two things I wanted to follow up. When you talk about the state assessments, one of the big topics that I mentioned a couple times to Mr. Donahue was you're assessing us on things through the maintenance assessment that is tied to money that you don't pay for. With this, I can quantify that because I can look, you talk about playgrounds, you talk about sidewalks, I'm going to have the data on that and the associated cost. We can then go back and re-engage and hopefully be a game changer in the state level to say, while you can assess us, and that's wonderful because you are reporting out what the problem is, don't count it in your analysis of our categories so that we get penalized for the funding because you want to give us the money.
Right. So
there is opportunity to really, we've always wanted in DSS to be leaders in our field. This is an opportunity to do that. I would be very remiss if I didn't thank Dr. Jaffers for his support, and Ms. McCourt for her support as well. This has really been a concentrated effort on a lot of parts. And I do think, as Dr. Smith said, this raises our data analytics to match the rest of the school system.
So one of the points that you made to Mr. Donahue in that meeting was that, to sort of stretch it out a little bit, that you assess us on the playgrounds and the sidewalks and the parking lots, you don't pay for any of that, and yet that will affect whether or not we get those bumps in
5%.
the 5% and 10%. So that's the biggest issue with them assessing it, including it, but not paying for it. Then we don't qualify for the additional bumps that we would otherwise.
So one of the things Courtney has worked on, she's taken in and generated the formula that they have, and we're looking at the schools that we have coming up. For instance, Lexington Park, we're looking at that, and we know what we can do to get the bumped up. And Mr. Donahue said, blitz your building beforehand. But what we can also then look at is how much, we'll know what we've got a cost, we know what it is, but Courtney can also then look at it and tell us what % of those points we're losing to that. And if we eliminate that, where do we get? So it will become a very compelling analysis that we can share back.
Excellent. And then, Dr. Beavers, you mentioned that as a new item was tagged and replaced an old item, that would be then removed from the system. I don't know that how much it matters, but being able to at least maintain that old information.
The information would exist.
Okay.
The asset itself, once it's disposed of, it would be linked to the new record. But the new asset would be in its place and would have a new barcode.
So, and just in terms of, we replaced this so that this would get us this much farther, but, here's why it had to be replaced.
Correct.
Should
So,
we ever
right,
have
so
to justify?
That's correct.
Okay.
And then that builds upon life cycle. So we can, over time, this will just keep getting better, because what we'll be able to see is we'll be able to see degradation rates of our equipment. How long are we actually getting? So where they've done an RUL now, we'll be able to analyze it on future pieces of equipment based on time.
Right.
So this only continues to get better the more data we put into it.
Excellent. Well, thank you for bringing this forward. I certainly support it.
I have a question. Backlog on,
Jim, you're jumping around here. We're going
excuse me, sorry.
Mary's already here.
Mary's got her notes.
She's ready to go.
Go ahead, Mary.
Oh, thank you, Jim.
Going in modified order, Jim. I know it's confusing.
All right,
We started
Karen
on this
had
side of the
ordered
dais.
with this
I'm on the
board.
last end of the road here.
All right.
We're saving the most important for the end.
I know my place.
All right, so I think we need this software to be on a level playing field with the other public school systems because they already have it. Okay, so we're catching up, but we're going to get there and be right there with them. And this software is an effective and efficient tool to help us in the management of our human resources, financial resources, inventory, assets, work orders, data analysis, and probably anything else we want to know. You have done your work. You have gotten the testimonials of the public school systems which use this, excellent testimonials, and it is an award-winning company. So thank you for all your work. I'm looking forward to you having this. It's taking you out of the Stone Age into the beyond the 21st century. I mean, the pencil and paper thing is out, and so I know you will embrace this, and you need it just like Dr. Smith said about performance matter, how we would do it the old-fashioned way, and with that it was more prescriptive. It would go down to the individual students, what the needs are, the test question, what they got wrong, what they got right, and what the teacher needs to do to get the student where they need to be. So this is great. Sorry it took so long to get you here. Maybe the technology wasn't here back then, but it's here now, and I support this.
Dorothy?
Well, first, I appreciate everything that you've done. And also, this isn't the first time that we have heard this, so it's kind of like the little bit of information I've gotten more this
Builds
time.
and builds and
that
builds.
helps be able to, approve or disapprove of it. I do got one question, and I know this is probably, you're probably saying, well, what do you, I have to get this picture of this tagging. So is it something like you put on the equipment, or is it just barcoded and it's in the system and it uses the serial number? How does the tagging work?
So,
if you don't mind me asking.
not a problem. So for, they're relatively small, but they are a metal tag with a barcode on it. And the software allows, whether it be a mobile device, your iPad, your phone, you can go over and scan that and it will bring up all the information that you need to do. If I'm in a school and I see, the door handles broke, I can go over and create that work order by scanning the barcode. So it works both ways. If you wanted to know about the warranty on something, I can scan that barcode and I can pull up owner manuals and do everything. So we have the ability, as part of this, in the professional services contingency, we have the ability to add additional barcodes to items we've already predetermined, but we will get our own barcodes. When they leave us a box of barcodes that we can then continue to apply through maintenance as we go forward.
Okay. So the picture I got was David and Goliath when it comes to the state. So Goliath is the state, and it has their shield, and they have their sword, and here we are down in this little county with David with the slingshot.
Yeah.
And now with all this information that we're going to be having, we're going to be able to
it'll be very
It levels
accurate.
the playing
Everything.
field.
Yes,
It
it'll be
levels
a very
the playing
accurate
field.
projectile when we go after what we need.
Exactly.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, the state wants to give us the money.
Right.
We just have to justify the need.
Yeah.
This will be, and I don't remember who said it, but it gives us the living playing field of you cannot challenge the data. I mean, I guess you could, but it is what it is, and it's an independent start, and then we'll maintain.
Yes. Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
You're up.
You mentioned about work order backlog, and I know it was reported a couple of years ago, I can't remember the numbers, of 70, 80 days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was
100,
too high, I
160,
couldn't
yeah.
believe it. Have we made an improvement?
Yeah, we're down to about 33 days, and that's with what we're currently doing. This will help us even further. Obviously, the long-term plan, right, would be for our guys to spend most of their time doing planned maintenance. Right now, we're so reactive. So we're hoping to kind of flip the tide on that and spend most of our time doing planned maintenance, which obviously in the long run will lower backlog. And it would be nice, right, when you get a work order to have maintenance staff, in your location within the week and working on it. Right now, that's just not a reality because, even though we have a backlog of, 33 days, when it comes to HVAC, plumbing, electric, they go straight to the top. So even though you have a painting request or a flooring request or, some other aesthetic request, we can't justify getting that knocked out before we take care of HVAC, right?
Sure.
So hopefully we can eliminate those type scenarios.
It's just some of the things that will be so much easier. Say that, JR had a piece of equipment that failed. We find out that there's a system-wide issue with it. The ability just to be able to go into the assets and pull up all of those that are that model.
Right.
We had some of those issues when we had snowstorms and there was a steel structure issue. And the state was letting everybody know that there had been some problems. We would be able to pull data quicker. I think for us, the most important thing is the data. We're going to have data that we haven't had before, and it just stays and continues to grow.
Right.
So,
Great.
and as
That's all I-
Siemens keeps doing more research and development, who knows where the software is going to go.
Thank you.
Well, all my questions were asked and answered, so super nifty. Very cool. Very efficient.
Okay. With that, may I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the contract award to Brightly Software Incorporated in the amount of $443,573.90 for cloud services and professional services. Further, that the Board of Education approves a project contingency in the amount of $53,864.82, or 12.3%, for professional services for additional asset tagging as included in the proposal. Further, I move that the board approve the DSS request to use Sourcewell contract number 090320 to make future purchases with Brightly Solutions Incorporated as necessary and as funding permits.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right. The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you so very much for the support. I think we're both excited to see what kind of information we can bring back. Thank you.
We'll look forward to those first reports with different charts and graphs.
Hopefully, we'll be the first one with the master plan next year. So, looking forward to it.
Okay. All right, we have no information items today. Let's see, the next meeting will be on Wednesday, August 16th, 2023, executive session at 8, and the open meeting will begin at 9 a.m. And with that, we are adjourned.